You, I'm just noticing the messages where it's like, I hit the bell. Okay, also, first off, my bad, in case anybody is replaying this or you're here. Hi, welcome to CareOffBook. It's me, Care Darling, and today we are talking about the 2025 Tony Awards and the performances and the hosting and everything. I have written notes at this point. I think I should turn into what is it? Like Blues Clues, where I need to go get like a handy dandy notebook since I do enjoy watching shows and writing it down so I don't forget. So I'm noticing messages I've might have missed. And for some reason, I guess some people in the UK aren't able to watch the shows or any of the clips. And I'm telling you, there is an issue with Paramount because with Paramount, I've noticed whenever I did a reaction video or anything like that, they would like mark it and like block it. So it's like not even just copyright, like they would block the video. So I don't know. I think I feel like I have beef with Paramount, but that's a different story. And if you've been following me, you know why. So, MJC, what up? Always messaging me and commenting, like, thank you so much. Okay, no clips. They're blocked in the UK? I wonder if this is a case like to go get VPN so then you can switch of like where you're at so you can watch these shows. My gosh, I feel like that's rude. But anyways, hold on because I'm excited about this. Her Oh wait, you can't really tell, huh? Because it's ombre kind of thing. Okay, lackluster. But listen, I can be blue, I can be green, I could be yellow, I could be. We're back to purple. All right, so let's get into it. First off, I hope that you darlings are doing well. Did you watch the Tony Awards? And or were you even allowed to watch the Tony Awards based on what I'm reading as far as the comments? And by the way, I hope that the microphone is doing well. If you're here, let me know as far as like how the sound is for you. But without further ado, my darlings, let's get into it as far as the Tony Awards. So, it was hosted by Cynthia Erivo, and I'd love to know what were your thoughts on her as a host. I will go ahead and share. I thought that she did a great job. Now, when you think of someone being a host for a show, usually they go down like the comedic route, like they want a comedian to do it. And so when thinking of Cynthia Erivo, I was like, I don't look at her as like, wow, she's got great comedic timing and she's just so funny, right? Like she can make me laugh, she makes me giggle. And so it's like, could she really pull off being a host, a hostess? And I would say yes, because I feel that the writers were pulling like her strengths as far as the host. I think what she did was she brought a lot of gravitas to being like, yes, this is the Broadway Tonys, like, Broadway's sexiest night. So I was for it. And I think something to also point out is the fact that she is just so talented, and every time she came out and sang, I was like, oh my gosh, what a treat. Like, so I did enjoy her as the hostess. But yeah, so don't be shy. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get into the opening number. When she first showed up, she was wearing this red white dress, and I was like, Merry Christmas to us. And then, of course, there's like I guess it was a good sort of stepping like what are we to expect through the Tony Awards, right? And so there's everyone telling her you should do this, you should do this. And ultimately she runs into Oprah and she's like, "Oprah, everyone's having me do whatever." And she's like, "The best advice I can give you is to be yourself." So it was like, okay, here they are trying to be like, Cynthia, we need to go big and we need to like go ham, right? And Cynthia's like, but that's not me. And so it was like, all right, very cool. By the way, the music was written by Mark Shaman, Scott Whitman, which they're known for the music of Smash. And then there's Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, who also wrote music in the opening number, and they wrote Dear Evan Hansen. So just in case you're like, I think that's also something to, in case you don't know, is that usually Tony Awards, whoever does the music like are actual like composers of another Broadway show. Like I think of Ariana DeBose, like this is your round of applause. I believe it was the, and I could be wrong by the way, but I believe it was the same composers that created Six, the musical. What was another one? Oh my gosh, the best host song I've it still lives in my mind, which is called Bigger with Neil Patrick Harrison or Harris, Carolyn. How are we forgetting this? Hold on. Neil Patrick Harris. I think that's the name. Yes. Um, if you don't know what I'm talking about, oh my gosh, recommended. Go watch Bigger, Neil Patrick Harris. And that song, I believe, was created by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And to me, that was just I don't know what can top that. It was just the most crazy thing being put all together. And I want to be like, and so was in it, and so was in. But I think it kind of gives it away in case you don't know what I'm referring to. So recommended. So as far as the opening number, I thought Cynthia Erivo sounded great. I liked the little nods to the other like plays and shows that was going on. And yeah, it wasn't, too big or like in your face, like a choir came out. And I think that the big thing was the fact that Cynthia was singing. So I was like, oh, I appreciate that. Like, lovely. Okay. So moving on to the next performance, Megan Hilty in Death Becomes Her, and she sings Me, Me, Me. Now, if you know, Death Becomes Her comes from the movie that was starred Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, and it's very fun and it's very camp and wild as far as the, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like as far as like the digital remastering, or I'm like the special effects as far as what they had to do in the movie. um, I think it's very exciting for them to be doing it in the show. And by the way, stay tuned because oh my gosh, no, you know what, I talked about you earlier. Hi MJC. um, we're okay. So far, I only talked about the opening number. I'm now talking about Megan Hilty and her performance. The song is, it was, oh my gosh, how do I explain this? So in the movie, Meryl Streep is playing the role of Madeline, right? It's Madeline. I'm excited, by the way, because I'm seeing the show this upcoming Saturday. So she's in this like big musical number, and spoiler, it's kind of a flop. But in the Broadway version, it's, Megan Hilty, her character Madeline, is starring in a show called Me, Me, Me. And she's singing for the gays. And of course, it's a play on word of like, she's singing Gaze, but we understand the reference is, towards the gays. So happy Pride. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you watched the boot. I'm telling you, I really do think you should get a VPN so then you can just watch this. I think it's absolutely crazy that they won't let other countries watch the different shows. Like, boo, boo, as far as like the arts and everything. So, something I enjoyed about the performance with Megan Hilty is like, one, she is so funny. Her voice is gorgeous. And there's a lot of nods towards, other Broadway things. Now, I can't wait to see the show because, there's different things that Megan Hilty was doing as far as like costume changes. And at one point, she's dressed up as Liza Minnelli, right? That's hilarious, like doing it for the gays. And like, to me, Liza Minnelli is such a gay icon. So for her to dress up as Liza, I was laughing. There was a switch as far as the dancer. And I was like, wow, I can't believe Megan's doing all of the performances like this. But of course, it was like a different person, and I didn't even catch that, which I was like, oh, wow, Carolyn. But then she was able to do like different costume changes and come out. And even at one point, there's a reveal of her as Dorothy. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're keeping it in the family, right? Where it's like Liza Minnelli and then Judy Garland. And I can't wait to see the show because I'm wondering, does she actually dress up as these characters in the actual Broadway show? Let's see. Okay. By the way, hi Marcus. Okay. Let's see. I'm surprised they showed the number considering it's been, wait, oh, okay. So you're surprised that they showed that number considering it's been shown on talk shows and B-roll so much. Let's see, you would have preferred to see the power ballad duet between Megan and Jennifer. Now, maybe they didn't do that. Maybe they feel a sense that they don't have to put their best foot forward because the show is doing well. And they were like, maybe also they were like, hey, it's Pride Month. Let's do it for the gays as far as what will people enjoy. And then, of course, want to go see the show versus something that may be the climax of the show, um, that it would be worth for them to see it live. So I could totally see it going that way. And yeah, you know what? As far as it did not win any awards as far as like through the Tonys, but I believe it did for costumes. And I had a guess about that. Listen, Jennifer Samard was not left out. I bet she was having the best time of her life. I don't think she felt a sense of like, I need to perform on stage. And in case you don't know, so when they were announcing, for a leading actress, Jennifer Samard had a sign up as the cameras were all on all of them. And she's just like, with it saying like, that was rude. And I think what made me laugh was the fact catching that when Megan realized what she was doing. And I think for Jennifer, I think she totally came in being like, "Psh, are you kidding with all these ladies nominated for the role? I'm here to enjoy the show and have a good time." And it's not a sense like she's not like, "Oh, no one knows who she is." Like people are excited um to like see her. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Does anyone know if anything was said about Patti? Kind of, actually. Did she, if she attended? Sorry for changing. Okay, listen, no problem. We got this. Let's see. They usually just try to include nominees in the number. That is true, yes. Also, Joy and Danny were left out of Gypsy. Um, that too. I mean, they wanted to get, and we will talk about Audra's performance as far as I feel like whenever they do Gypsy, it's usually Mama's, right? Mama's turn, or it's like everything's coming up roses as far as what they usually do for the Tonys whenever they have a Gypsy revival. As far as like anyone mentioning Patti, there was a little bit of Patti. Oprah Winfrey came out to announce like best musical, and it was like the last thing, right? And so she comes out and she pretty much references that there's been a lot of talk between leading ladies. So she kind of alludes to like there are serious discussions between ladies in the community. So that was like the only thing that was kind of mentioning Patti and like all of that drama. Oh, you're so correct, Marcus. My bad. Best actress, not musical. Thank you so much. You're right. Lin-Manuel Miranda presented for Best Musical. This is why I appreciate you, darlings, keeping me on my toes. So yeah, there was a reference to it, but it was quick. No, Gypsy did not go. I mean, if you've been following my videos, you know that I had some like little conspiracies as far as whatever. If you did read the open letter from the Broadway community where it had over 500 signatures, I read it and it was saying like pretty much they were like, hey, we want people to be held accountable whenever there is like something going on in the Broadway community, just like they, with Will Smith, like the Oscars banned him for 10 years. And then they were like, we just need, like, please don't invite Patti LuPone to the Tonys or whatever, right? And the thing is that I think the Tonys did invite her and she already was like, I'm not going. And I think that even if with all of this, I have a feeling she doesn't care. She doesn't care whether she's at the Tonys or not. She doesn't care. But what she's not going to do, or the Tonys is not going to do, is they didn't make an announcement saying like you know, we are disinviting Patti LuPone, right? Because I don't even think they want to make a big statement like that. And so I think the thing is that what the people wanted was for the Tonys to do something. And the thing is, the Tonys didn't have to do anything because Patti was like, I'm not going. That's my theory on that. Let's see. Gypsy. Did Gypsy win anything? I don't think it did. Like, I know there's more, right? As far as, like, for example, they didn't announce best costumes, but then I saw it online and I was like, yay, Death Becomes Her, way to go. So it could have won something, but I'm just not aware. The only person to get away with saying anything. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I am glad that that was that as far as Oprah. And yeah, okay. So I think I said everything I wanted to say about Death Becomes Her. I love the costume changes. I also wondered, like, she comes out in this, like, certain, like, black frock with, like, the little fringe. And I wonder if that was a look sort of like an homage to, I think of Julie Andrews in Victor Victoria. I saw that movie musical years ago. I'm wondering if I should talk about it or bring it into this month as far as a movie musical to enjoy. But I was wondering if that was, and like that costume was an homage to, for the gays. And I'm like, Victor Victoria is definitely, a Pride Month musical, if you will. Okay, moving forward, Buena Vista Social Club. Now, I will be very honest, like they performed and it was fine. But for me, I was like, this is a musical. Like it felt like a concert and that they were performing and it was nice. But then I found myself being like, I have no idea what's going on. My preference is I love a good scene. I love a good scene that is happening. And I'm like, okay, like I like when a story is being unfolded to me and this just felt like, oh, okay, they're singing and dancing, and it feels like I am in a nightclub with them, and that's it. And that's what I got. It was just fun, and I went, okay, that was my feeling. Let's see. What? You saw the original, Marcus, you saw the original cast? That's amazing. First off, I didn't, oh my gosh, please. I am someone that actually, like I said, I've only saw the movie musical and that was years ago and I don't remember it. And I didn't even realize that it actually was on Broadway in 1995. So that is definitely something on me. And maybe this would be a fun thing for me to like learn about, discover, and then share it with you darlings. And yeah, stop the original. Dang, the original Castaway. Holy moly. Okay, I'm trying to remember like who was the original one that played, Touch Me, because the original person cast in it got sick or something happened. So then they switched it to the person that made the song Memory into a belting song. The show, as the show Julie was in when she lost her voice. Wait, she lost her voice during Victor Victoria? Wait. Oh my gosh. I'm like, happy early birthday. Are you a Gemini? No. Or would you be a Leo? Happy early birthday, Marcus. All right. Anyways, it looks like you darlings don't have anything to say about Buena Vista Social Club. So we'll move on. Just in time, the Bobby Darin musical with Jonathan Groff. Now, the introduction for him coming out, Cynthia was like, what was it? She was like pretty much a great seat to have is in the balcony for her Jonathan Groff musical because he's a spitter and everyone's cheering and I was like, yes he is. No, I didn't. Maybe this is a very good movie musical for me to talk about and then talk about listen, I love Julie Andrews, and then when she sang again in Princess Diaries too, it made me cry. Betty Buckley, yes, I saw Betty. Okay, Judi Dench was supposed to. Yes, you're right. Yep, 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 yes. And then Elaine Page. I saw Betty Buckley in Hello Dolly, and I think that was the first time I went to go see it with my grandma, and I thought to myself, that was a perfect musical. Like usually I'll watch a musical and I'm like, oh, I think they could have done better if they tweak this, done that, right? And it was the only time I ever saw a musical that I was like, this was perfect. No notes. Like, you know. Okay, wait, guys. We're talking about Just in Time, Jonathan Groff. And in case you don't know the performance or Bobby Darin, so Bobby Darin is an artist. You probably know him for the L is for the way you look at me and other songs. So this is a biopic musical. And here's the thing, I'm not into biopic musicals. Like, look, if you can name one that you're like, dang, this is a really amazing musical. Like, I just think it kind of is a cash grab. It's like music people recognize, and then it's like, okay. So as far as Just in Time, I would want to see it, but it's probably because I want to see Jonathan Groff. And something he said in an interview I found very interesting was that he says he starts the show as himself and then grows into becoming Bobby Darin. Because his whole thing isn't about like, I'm a Bobby Darin impersonator. And so to me, I was like, that does make sense. And if Just in Time was like on tour, I don't think I would be interested to see it unless I knew who was singing in the show. But that's just like my opinion, you know? Let me see. Oh, totally fair. I know that in the beginning I was like the mic was low for him, but I guess maybe it's because maybe I'm biased, right? Like I'm not actually looking at the full performance being like because it's him singing a song. Once again it's not him being like and here's the story and whatever. It's about how is this performance as him singing a song. And to me, I had a lot of fun. And when he stood on the chair and Keanu Reeves was sitting he's like, I was like, I guess I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is fun. This is enjoyable. And this, who knows, I might convince my husband to, because he loves Bobby Darin. Like, I might be able to convince him that we just go see the musical. Like, he'll go because he enjoys Bobby Darin and the music. And I want to be, I almost said something inappropriate. I want to see Jonathan Groff. I almost said a joke about not wanting to be in the balcony. So maybe you guys will put two and two together, and that's funny to me. Let's see. That is very true. Like Marcus, that's very true. I think it's about selling the show to potential ticket buyers, and they try to do too much. I think as far as like Jonathan Groff, though, I think he is a ticket seller. Like, I feel like they didn't necessarily have to do much with him. They put the songs and he came in, he did a performance, and that's that. Like, they didn't have to show story or whatever, right? Be like, I want him to jump on my chair. Be like, I mean, for sure. Are you kidding? I think that would be the most appropriate thing, right? I screw it. I was gonna be like, like he wants to see Bobby Darin, and I'm like, and I want to be spat on, like to be like, oh my gosh, Jonathan Groban, Jonathan Groban. Why am I mixing artists? Okay, stop it. You're all gonna get me in trouble. And Josh Groban and freaking Jonathan Groff. Wow. Listen, who Keanu Reeves, like everything, right? Like he's never a bad person to invite somewhere. Like he's just a joy to see, and like what a great person to like, have him stand on the chair and him be like, like I love musical theater. Okay. Let's see. Moving on. Sunset Boulevard. Nicole Scherzinger. Listen, I was ready. Right when I saw Glenn Close, I was like, Sunset, let's go. If you've been following me, you know I saw this at the West End. And when I went for Tom Francis because I loved his portrayal in Anne Juliet. So, and I was like, okay, Nicole, we'll see. Like, I didn't think much of it. And then I saw her perform and I was like, whoa. Yes. And I was okay. So, as you know, MJC, it was at the Savoy, the Savoy Theater. And I was up in the balcony with like, I paid a pound for the like binoculars to look. And I just, What a good time. What a beautiful time. And so I remember telling like my New York friends to be like, yo, go see this musical. And also, this makes me very excited for Jamie Lloyd's version of, oh my gosh, I'm like Evita. There we go. With Rachel Zegler. Like, I now cannot wait. By the way, I'm going to do an episode about that because people have feelings about her, like, singing on the balcony. And it's like, if I was paying money, why would I want to see the biggest show on, like, the biggest number in the show, like, performed outside? So there will be an episode on that coming up because I have conflicting feelings and I'll share it there. And yeah, let's see. Really? Okay, I haven't been online to see people's reactions to Nicole, but I was like, I wanted her to win so badly, and I'm happy she did. Oh, I see, because they wanted Audra to win. I mean, that makes sense and stuff, because like she is a powerful performer as well. But I mean, even when looking at the Tony performances, Nicole's performance, like just like I was teary eyed just watching it. Yes, yes, I have seen Evita stuff. I think it's very cool. Like I said, listen, we could talk when that episode comes on, okay? Because I have conflicting feelings and I think it could be really cool. By the way, when is it happening, okay? Because I come out to the UK in October. And so part of me is like, is Evita happening during that time so I could be like, you know, honey, watch my baby. I'm gonna go see Rachel Zegler and Evita, or I'm gonna be outside just waiting for her to come out and sing, and I'd be so into it. Stop it. Wait a minute, Marcus, are you also living out in the UK? I'm telling you, I'm in the wrong country. One day I'm gonna live out in London and I'm gonna be like, what's happening at the West End? Like a May West, what's happening at the West End? Okay, but yeah, Nicole, shivers down my spine, teary eye. I was so impressed also at how, like, she didn't have to do much, right? But yet she was doing the most as far as her acting and the performance. And something I always point out to those who are new to musical theater, I'm like, listen, there is a difference between someone coming in and just singing a song and someone coming in and helping you feel this song and being on this journey with them. And Patti LuPone has said, like, her compliment towards Nicole was like, she invites you in to her story as far as what she's doing. And that's exactly what I was leaning in, wanting, like, yes, talk to me more. And the song that she sings, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it, but it's the part where pretty much Norma Desmond goes to Hollywood and she's back on set. And so it's like, oh my gosh, it's like we've never been apart. It's like, we've been here together forever. And so it really is a beautiful performance. And she's not like running around, and like she's very strong and in her, like, she's very grounded when she's singing the song. And I loved it so much. Let's see. Sorry, I'm reading all the comments. Oh, lucky. Let's see. Oh my gosh, how funny. As far as you seeing Glenn Close. Yes. Okay, that is a great note as far as like, I felt a sense like the orchestra knew to follow her and how to like support her when singing it, and her like having almost like a really great relationship with the orchestra as far as what they were doing. Because, and I will bring it up later, in Audra's performance, I was like, what's going on with the music and stuff as far as them balancing it out? And we will get to there. We will get there. But yeah, um, Nicole, right when she sang, I was just like, I really want her to win. Like, she, to me, deserves this win. And yeah. So, okay, next performance was Pirates of Penzance. Now, I was excited about this because I was like, oh my gosh, Jinx Monsoon. So, Jinx Monsoon is, let's see, I'm reading your. Holy moly, Marcus, you just seen a lot of like just Broadway legends. I love that you love theater. I love that. And okay, so Pirates of Penzance, this performance was, I was disappointed. I was excited about it, and then when they came in, I was like, "What is this?" I'm not like excited. Now, what's his name? Ramin Karimloo. The like, I feel like he's another one of those like sexy Broadway boyfriends that everyone's like really into. He was in the revival of Funny Girl with Leah Michelle. So he's in the musical, and I was excited about Jinx Monsoon because Jinx Monsoon, drag queen, won season 6 of Drag Race, and then won the All Stars, like all of the queens, like won that crown. And so, I was excited to see her journey, going to Broadway. I believe that it was first Mama, the Warden in Chicago, then I believe in Little Shop of Horror. So I was like, go, Jinx, go. And then the performance happens, and I was like, this is not great. And I would say, I'm going to be very honest. Whoever the choreographer was for this show, fire them, because there was a certain point they started doing like a pan dance and there was a rhythm to it. And I was like, and then they all stood in a straight line and it was just messy, and it was like they couldn't even create some sort of like formation as they're doing this rhythm thing, and it looked grammar school, and I was like, this doesn't seem like Broadway. It just seems. And then I found myself not having fun. I just felt a sense of like them doing this like rhythm, being like, are you entertained? And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, this isn't cool. But yeah. Oh, that's true. Maybe they felt like Ramin in chess is like too close to him and Leah being back together. And so they were probably like, I don't know about that. Oh, yeah. See, I should finish your comment. And it's like, maybe he's already worked with Leah. I don't know. I honestly think that if he had the opportunity to be in the show, he would probably do it. But yeah. Stop it. You met him 3 times? Wait, where was it that you met him? But yeah. Oh my gosh. Listen, Marcus, don't be too upset with me. Your friend needs to be fired. Sorry. And listen, I could be wrong. Maybe there was choreography as far as like what they do in the show, but then they didn't do it for the Tonys. And so I'm just saying, like, visually what was going on, I was like, I felt like it could have been better. That's just my opinion. And listen, maybe I am entitled to my wrong opinion. So don't take it too seriously, okay? Oh my gosh. Elise, it's time to it's time to go. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Oh, I see. Yes, yes, he did play Phantom, so that makes sense. Okay, there you go. Elise, if she's just an associate, then she probably saw the damage and was like, I better go. I better get out of here. But yes, okay, so moving on, because listen, I don't have a charger for my iPad, so if it dies, the episode's done. Okay, maybe happy ending. I thought this was a good example of like a piece of the story, and I found it interesting. I've listened to the whole soundtrack, and I remember thinking like the music is gorgeous and maybe happy ending. So I'm like, I felt like what they gave us wasn't the best, but I really love to see. I love to see Helen J. Shen, and then yes, for Darren Criss to be in character and like show a snippet of that story. Something I found interesting was, so he won for Best Actor. And okay, listen, my guess was that he was going to win, but my heart was for Tom Francis, right? So I'm very happy for him. Also, how many of Leah Michelle's friends or coworkers are going to win a Tony before she does? Like, I wonder if she thinks about that, where it's like, wow, everyone gets a Tony except me. But yeah, happy ending out of context isn't going to do it justice. I agree. I do think though, because it won Best Musical, people are going to, even more people are gonna like want to go see the show. Um, Something I found really interesting was that in Darren Chris, he was saying like his thank you speech and everything, and he didn't even say thank you to Star Kid. So if you know his, like to me, his beginning was in like what was it, the Harry Potter, and it's online and you can watch it and it's so funny, where he played the role of Harry Potter, and I thought the guy that played Ron was adorable, but my favorite is the girl that plays Malfoy. I think she should be a bigger star. Like she should absolutely be in more comedy things because I feel like she's a comedic genius. But yeah. Yes, and that is something too, as far as maybe happy ending, is like they had a hard time with marketing because it's like a love story between robots, and it's like there's so much more to it, and there has been like I said, they had issues as far as like the marketing for that show. So hopefully maybe if they're like, yo, this one best musical, that people are like, oh, I want to go see the best musical. So hopefully that's helpful. And like I said, Darren Chris not thinking Star Kids, like he did say, I'm going to go hang out with my favorite people, theater people, right? And he was thanking his wife, different people like within the show he's in. But I just like different things of his up. He thanked his father, his brother, and I thought he was going to give a quick shout out to Star Kids because once again, like if the whole thing is promoting like not just Broadway and the big theaters, it's like support your local theater, then it's like, well, that's kind of what happened with Star Kid, right? It was small and then it grew bigger. And I think the last thing I saw in there was like their version of Cinderella, which I feel like is what Andrew Lloyd Webber wanted to do with Bad Cinderella because it was very gothic and dark. Anyways, I just found that interesting that he didn't, let's see, yeah, that he didn't really say anything about Star Kids. So it makes me wonder, like, did they have a fallout or something? Hmm. Okay, moving on. Floyd Collins. So that was a great performance. I thought. I thought it gave a lot of story, and once again, like Jeremy Jordan was doing. And okay, listen, I was watching the Tony Awards with three straight men, and it was funny to me because one was like, "Hey, isn't Jeremy Jordan in so and da 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 da?" And I was like, "That is correct." And then the other guy was like, wasn't he in like whatever? And I was like, that is also correct. And I looked at my husband to see like if he would, no, it's fine. No, what do you do? My husband comes in with a plug. Are you kidding me? Well, he cares. I'm thinking like the plug I'm using is to the microphone, so it wouldn't help. Anyways, my bad. You don't need to know the behind the scenes. So as far as Jeremy Jordan, speaking of my husband, then I looked at him and he said something like, "Is he the one that's playing Bobby Darin?" It's like he tries. He tries. Musicals are not his thing, but he loves me apparently, so that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I just thought Floyd Collins it is a musical I actually would be interested in seeing because of this performance, and that's why the Tonys and seeing performances are so important. Um, yeah, don't laugh too hard at my husband. Okay, so okay, let's talk about the Hamilton reunion. Okay, there's a lot of tea on this reunion. Okay, first off, chills, and I found myself dancing to the reunion. I loved how they were able to mix the songs together, and like Ariana DeBose playing the role of the bullet, like in that shot. I was like, it was so well thought out and crafted. And yeah, I loved that they were all wearing black, because I felt like it was a sense of elegance and it wasn't about let's dress up to play the roles we once did. It was like they were so much more than the characters they played on Broadway. I hope that made sense. And then I thought it was a beautiful, like, comedic transition where Jonathan Groff in a red jacket going, really? Da 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 na 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 na. And that's all he had to do, right? He came in and then he did that and then he walked off. And I was laughing so hard, like, and that's it. That's all he had to do. And I loved, oh my gosh, the way I was dancing to work, work, Angelica. And I was like, yes. And Peggy. I was like, let's go. So that performance was so well done. I felt like anybody who has a huge love for Hamilton probably had high expectations and they were met. Now, can we talk about the tea? Thank you. So, Anthony Ramos, right? Anthony Ramos, he was the lead in the movie musical In the Heights. Confession, I've never seen it. I know I should. People told me I should, but I was like, ugh, it looks too much of a production. Looks like a movie musical. But anyways, moving forward. So people were like, hey, where was he? Because, and I was like, yeah, I saw him in the audience, but they didn't see him in the performance as far as the reunion. And so I went to go look it up because I was like, that's odd because it's not like he wasn't there. He was. And guess what? He was in the performance. But it is so, if you watch it, it is so weird because everyone that is known and stuff, it's like they are feet, like even Ariana DeBose like had the camera on her to play the bullet, right? But when she was in Hamilton, it wasn't necessarily like, oh my gosh, that's Ariana DeBose. It wasn't until she like won an Oscar for West Side Story, the movie musical. She's done like the Disney Princess Asha. Is it a print? Yes, it is. Disney Princess Asha. Right? I mean, pretty much everyone seemed to be featured except him. Like there was no close-ups of him and stuff. So then I was like, oh, was he performing like just in the background? So I went to go look and I was like, wait a minute. Again, this was so odd. So the part where George Washington comes up and sings, and Anthony Ramos goes up, sees George Washington, and then he pushes him to the side. But the camera is so far back, you don't even realize that it's him. And they don't have a close up on him when, like, nothing. So for Anthony, he probably thought, like, yeah, I'm in it, I'm here and stuff. But he doesn't realize that the camera was not close up or anything. And every time he's on a certain side of the show, the camera would be on the opposite side. So it felt like everyone was being seen and featured, but then he was maybe put in a background. And then when he thought, like, yeah, I may be in the background during this part, but then I'm definitely featured here. And it's like, you're not really seen ever, but he is there because I had to go look to make sure. So the rumor is, let's see, we get directed, yes. That's what others are saying, that I might like it because of John M. Chu and stuff. And to be fair, I was kind of like, I don't want to watch it based on the trailer because I was like, I think it was when it shows some of the characters dancing on the sides of the building, like they're Spider-Man or something. And I was like, this feels like a music video versus me following someone's story in the Heights, right? So at some point, I will give it a shot, and then we can talk about it. So yeah, so that was like the kind of so the reason why people think that Anthony Ramos wasn't really featured in Hamilton is because apparently he cheated on and Peggy, that actress that plays the role. And so they met in the show and then he cheated or something. So they're wondering if there's a bit of bad blood as far as the cast in him. Um, but yeah, the thing is that he definitely is still doing things and working because he's going to be in something with what's his name that created Glee. So it's not like he showed up to be in the reunion. Like there's other things he needed to kind of like promote and advertise stuff. So that was something that I was like, oh my gosh, like a bit of rumors on that one. Um, yeah. Okay, moving forward, the Memoriam. They had no business. Like I feel like whenever the Memoriam happens, I'm always like, oh man, that's touching and whatever. But this one broke me. Um, Also, I didn't realize Ken Page passed away. Like, I did not know. So, Ken Page was the actor who did the voice of Oogie Boogie. Now, I might have mentioned in some of my episodes, he was the one that spoke at my graduation. So, whenever it's like, oh, Ken Page, I always laugh, being like, I can't believe that was the guy that spoke at my graduation. And then to see his picture, I was like, wait a minute. Like, I didn't even realize that he was gone. But yeah, so that made me sad. Let's see. It was a good tribute. So they had Sarah Bareilles. What a great voice she has. And Cynthia come in like, and they sang Tomorrow from Annie. And it was such a like the composition of that song was so beautifully done, and how they featured those that have passed. And it did break my heart when the last photo was Gavin Creel. That still gets to me. Like, I saw him perform in 2023, Into the Woods, and he came out to San Francisco to, play the role of the prince. And I remember, like, Into the Woods is my favorite musical of all time. And I was like, I really want to see it because Gavin Creel's in it. Like, that was like an even more of a bonus. And so to think, like, it makes me sad because it was like, wow, I got to see him. And it's like, I guess in the back of my head, I was like, I can't wait to see him in more performances. And then it was just like, that was that. Oh no. Yeah. What a loss. And so I don't know. It really made me sad to see his photo go up, and then Sarah looking at the picture of him, and she's crying, and Cynthia goes to hug her. I Thank goodness, like, I guess, like, Cynthia was there to hug Sarah, and that was like the cameras probably were like, oh my gosh, what a great shot. And it's like, it's not a shot. Like people and fans are still affected at the fact that the loss of Gavin. Like there was so many more shows and talent, and it just felt like there was so much more to witness and to see, and then to think like it's all gone. So yeah. Um, so I can't believe, like, literally it was like Hamilton. It's like, this is awesome, this is amazing. And then it's like, and now let's think about James Earl Jones. It's like, why? Like, that was a lot of like emotions that happen all at once for me. Okay. Then it goes into the performance for Dead Outlaws. Listen, similar to Buena Vista Social Club, it's just like they're there, they're singing a song. I'm not really getting a story. And I'm just like, I know that in the interview between Jonathan Groff and Nicole, he was like, it's a concert. And I'm like, yeah, that works for your character, right? Bobby Darin, it is a concert, it is that type of performance. But also, I'm like, a concert is not a musical. You can use like a performance level of a concert to help your character, but a musical is not a concert. And I'm gonna, and that's my opinion. Like, I'm gonna stick with that. So yeah, Dead Outlaws, when I saw that, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to see this musical. Like, I don't care. And it could be because they chose the wrong performance, but it was just kind of like meh. Okay, see, like, okay, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only one that was like, the more Dead Outlaw clips there are. To be honest, I only saw the Tony performance, but that was enough for me to be like, even if it's touring, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to see it. So yeah. Okay, what was after that? Gypsy. Okay, here we go. So I didn't like it. I know. I know. I know. Here's the okay. I do it. I know I can't do it because Paramount would just like flag me and take it down and block me. And they do copyright strikes. Okay. This is why I don't like Paramount. Let's see. Between shows like Mamma Mia and these shows that just do almost like biopics. Yeah. I don't see the appeal. Hated Jersey Boys. And I haven't seen Jersey Boys, except the movie musical directed by, what's his name? Do you feel lucky? What's his name? I see him, the good, the bad, the ugly. Wah, 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 wah. Oh my gosh. Hopefully one of you darlings know who I'm talking about as far as the director. Um, Whatever. Let's see. Yes. Thank you, Marcus. There is something up with the orchestra with Audra Clint Eastwood. Marcus for the win. Thank you so much. There was something up with the orchestra with Audra. So here's the thing, Audra McDonald, holy moly, wonderful. Like, I love her voice. I love her as a soprano. I think she is just so excellent at her craft. But this performance and this role, I don't think was for her. Thank you so much, Veritas. Let's see. That was something too, like the orchestra and her, like, that's what I mean. Like when Nicole was doing it, it felt like they were supportive of each other, and the orchestra, like it was almost like they had Nicole's back as she was doing her thing and performing. But then it felt like, and it could be, because it's like, think about it, we've had so many different gypsies, Mama Rose, right? That we know this song. Like we even, what's his name? Billy Porter, where like James Corden was like, do you know this song? And he's like, am I singing the whole thing? Because it's like, you'll be, right? So it was off there. Now the thing is that the way Audra was playing Mama, like, right, this is Mama's like breakdown as far as like she worked so hard to achieve nothing. And so then it's like, you know what? Like it's my turn. Like, and then ends like this time for me, right? Um, and so Audra, I felt like it was great to see the emotions of Mama Rose versus the anger of Mama Rose. So it was a sense of like grief as you were kind of following her. But then near the end of it, I was like, this does not fit her voice. And I think that's where, like, technically, Audra was having a difficulty, right? Because when she did go, she went into her voice, like more of her soprano voice, right? Like, everything's coming up. But then when she was trying to get into like the emotion of anger and screaming, it just didn't sound good, and it wasn't like even with the rhythm. Now it could be people look at it where they're like, oh my gosh, she's not afraid to be ugly and show the ugliness of like what Mama's going through. But I don't, the way I feel is like, I don't think that's it. I think she just didn't have the actual voice for it. So then it's like, oh, I can't do it. Therefore, I'm going to pretend that I am doing it and saying it's all based on emotion. And like, it just sounded, it didn't sound good. And I think to try and play it off of like, well, that's just like her emotional roller coaster going, it's like, I don't think that works either. And listen, this is just my opinion. For me, when Mama's having that type of breakdown, it's her being like, I could be better than all of them. I could be better than Dainty June. I did like when she did the voice where it's like, what's yours? Like, I felt a sense like she was trying to imitate Dainty, but also to be like, I taught her to use that voice and to do this. And so, but yeah, like I said, to me, this is when Mama's like, I could do them better. I could be just as sexy as Gypsy. I could be this. Like, they're only able to be this talented and this amazing because of me. And realizing, all of them took advantage of her, right? And she's left with what? Nothing. And now it's her realization being like, you know what, moving forward, this time for me. So that's my thought on Audra's performance. And listen, I also could be biased here, right? Because, okay, I would love to know, do you darlings have a favorite Mama Rose? Love to know. I'll tell you mine. Mine is Bernadette Peters. And so, yes, like I am comparing Bernadette Peters' performance against Audra's because to me, I was like, that was the best performance ever, right? Ready or not, here comes Mama, right? So I love that performance so much. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to let it go and let it be there. If you enjoyed Audra's performance, like, that's great. And I love to know why. Like, that's perfectly fine. It just wasn't it for me. And I found it confusing. You know what? Confession. I've never seen, like, even online, if it is on there, I've never seen Patty's version of Gypsy, which I feel like that makes sense for her. Oh my gosh, confession, but I didn't fully see it. You don't judge me too much, darlings. Um, I believe Gypsy is on Amazon, and I had it downloaded, and I was playing it when I was actually when I was going. I was in labor, and so for some reason I thought, hey, you know what? I should play this musical because I'm about to be a mother to a daughter. But I wasn't fully watching it because it was like really late and the nurses kept coming in to flip me back and forth as the movie was going on, but I was like sleeping. Wait, Marcus, who haven't you seen? Let's see. I saw it on Broadway with Patti. I saw like Marcus. Hold on. How are you able to see these shows? Do you know somebody that I need to know in order to go see these shows? Let me know, Marcus. Connect me, please. Marcus, I'm already shocked. I'm already shocked with who you've seen and stuff. Okay, here we go. I bet you it's gonna be now be like, Marcus, have you ever seen Dick Van Dyke live? Let me know. It's like, as a matter of fact, when I went to go see Bye Bye Birdie, I'll be like, Marcus, take my job. Take my job, Marcus. Oh, my gosh, listen, fair, absolutely fair. Maybe I'll be able to be like that where it's like, I remember seeing Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard at the West End. It's like I can't wait to be that. Also, in case you don't know, I'm from California, and so to see these musicals like wasn't a thing. And now I'm in Delaware, and I'm like, I'm getting closer. So very exciting. Okay, we are almost done. Let's see. I knew it. I knew you would have seen Dick Van Dyke. Let's see. My friend was in the original cast of Mary Poppins, and he did an event with the cast that I attended, and he performed in it. Marcus, are you coming for my job? Marcus? Oh, first off, wonderful. Let's see. I feel like, hold on. I feel like it's going to be harder to try and like, who is it that I'm like, we should just start throwing out like, have you seen this person? And then see where we go as far as like, did you already say you saw, have you seen Bernadette Peters? Let's see if I can watch it be like Marcus being like, oh yeah, I saw Bernadette Peters in Sunday in the Park with George with Mandy Pentica. And I'll be like, Marcus. But I don't mean this in a mean way. It's just me giggling, being like, oh, I'm jealous. That's what's going on. I'm correct. You know what, Marcus? You could be lying to me too. Like, I just say all of these shows, and you're like, yes, I was there. I was actually, in fact, I was, I was actually born into the theater. Okay, let's see. Oh, snap. I've randomly seen Carrie Hope Fletcher in Four Things without continuously meaning to. Same with Adam Garcia. Let's see, I saw it in 1984. Oh gosh, that's a sad story behind that, but for another time. Okay, Marcus. Like, oh, you know who's my I guess I'll say Broadway celebrity I keep running into, even though I don't mean to, is Sutton Foster. I feel like that's the one where the first time I met her was because I went to go see my cousin perform in Shrek, and then she was there to watch the show. And my sister's like a huge fan of Sutton Foster. And I was like, okay. So then I just walked up and I was like, my sister's a huge fan of yours. And she was very sweet to her. And then it was like, I don't know. I just feel like we keep running into each other. Like I wanted to see Once Upon a Mattress and she's in it, so I went to go see it. And yeah. Oh, look at you both seeing. Oh, I love theater people. Okay. Operation Mincemeat. I did like that it was a story that they were saying and it looked fine. Like it was one of those where I was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Operation Mincemeat. Like I like when there's a Tony Awards performance that's like that, where it's like I'm getting a scene. Yes, they're introducing a song, and I'm like, okay, this is the vibe of the show, and I don't mind the vibe. Let's see. And then let's see. Real Women Have Curves. I want to go see this musical. If this musical is on tour, I want to see it. Based on the storyline that was happening, it was like, okay, it looks like this is a daughter that is conflicted by family expectations as far as taking over a business and also trying to pursue her dreams and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing this musical. Like, it made me more curious about it. And I think that's why it's so important as far as like, even if you're not nominated for like best musical, yeah, you want to be able to perform or have something of your show in it for ticket sales, for people to be aware, because that's what happened to me when Real Women Have Curves came on. And yeah, that's true. Mincemeat was similar to Matilda's. I agree with that. Um, and yeah, what else? Sorry, Real Women Have Curves. And oh yeah, that was something, I think that was the last like musical performance. And I also think that was something I thought was disappointing, um, was the fact that Boop didn't have like a performance. And Jasmine Jasmine Rogers, right? Is it Jasmine Amy Rogers as far as her full name? So sorry, I'm not getting that correct, but she was nominated for Best Actress, and I wish I could have seen an example of hers like on the Tony Award stage, but that didn't happen. So I was like, oh man, like that would have been something I wish I could have seen. I didn't care about Smash. To me, I'm like, go watch season 1. I was trying to watch season 2 of Smash, and I was like, it's harder for me to get through that versus season 1. I was all about it. But yeah, who won choreography as far as like the musicals? Let's see. No, Boop didn't have a performance. No. They were probably excited to perform like outside, or like maybe they did something for like, they call it the Tony Award like Act 1. Maybe they did something there, but then I'm like, I had no way of really like seeing it versus being able to watch the Buena Vista one. Interesting, because the choreography in that I was not too like, well, but then again, I didn't see the whole show, so you know, that could be it too. Okay, so yeah, closing number. So the closing number was Cynthia Erivo pretty much singing, and I'm telling you, but the lyrics were changed as far as like people leaving the Tony Awards, and I was, I was giggling to myself because I was like, you realize that Cynthia Erivo was going out and singing like one of like multiple like hardest songs to sing, but then she does it with ease. Like, who in the world can go up and just be like, I'm just gonna sing and I'm telling you from Dreamgirls? Like, okay. Like, that's just wild to me. Yeah, I have heard people were mixed on Boob. I think based on what my friend told me, the way that I was like, okay, so it's kind of like Enchanted, but not as good, where it's like, oh wow, she's in New York and like trying to figure out like real people life versus where she came from. And it's like, oh, that's Enchanted. Like, okay. Okay, so we went through the performances. I think I even said as far as like some of the winners and stuff. So these are like things I wanted to mention about the Tony Awards. I felt like there was a lot of Oprah. Like, I know that sounds like, okay, so Oprah is in the opening number when Cynthia's like, Oprah, so good to see you. And I was like, oh, that makes sense because of the color purple and like how they're connected and whatever. So I was like, okay. Then it shows Oprah again because Cynthia's like, Oprah, look under your chair. And again, I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally fine. And then Oprah came back to, for Best Actress. And I was like, man, why is Oprah everywhere? Like, I don't know if she was supposed to. No, Oprah was, sorry, in the opening number, Oprah was like just there on stage. And it wasn't like her spirit guide or anything like that. It was just like, what was going on was Cynthia was in her dressing room and people are like running up to her being like, do you think we need to have George Clooney like be popped out of a cannon? And she's like, no. And then it was like, we need to have less than 77 trombones, but more than 75. And she's like, no, right? And I was like, oh, that's funny. And I think what they were trying to do is kind of like help people like me, where it's like you set the expectations of like, this isn't going to be like loud in your face, right? And I think it was helpful to have Oprah there because it's like they are definitely connected in that way as far as like the color purple and her, producing it and whatever. And also, I do think Oprah is like authoritative figure for people to be like, hey, like, what Oprah says goes. So I just felt like that was something I was like, dang, Oprah's here a lot. And yeah, I guess maybe that's more of a question for myself where it's like, why does it bother me Oprah's there a lot? And I guess I'm like, why? I guess I just want to know, like, why is she there a lot, you know? But yeah, it is what it is, right? Let's see. Da, da, da. Like her favorite godmother right before the curtain went up. I didn't take it like that. I think I didn't take it as that, like it was like a fairy godmother kind of thing. I think it was like she was there and it was almost like for us, the audiences like set expectations where she's like, what do I do? And she's like, just be yourself. So if you felt like it was a like fairy godmother moment, then I think that's totally fair to say. But yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was Cole. So Cole wrote, oh my gosh, so funny. There's a segment where it's like it was the nominated writers, and so they had like different actors up there to talk about the story that was written, and like Cole's bit was making me laugh so hard, where it's like life imitating, like art imitating life, not hers, mine. It's just so funny. And then he ended up winning for Best Actor. I'm sorry, they ended up winning for Best Actor. And I loved their speech. And the thing that I didn't realize until it was said was that Cole's dress was actually inspired by Bernadette Peters winning the Tony for Annie Get Your Gun. And I was like, this is genius. Like, now I want to dress up as Broadway stars who got their Tony Awards and that kind of fashion. So, also, I thought Cole looked beautiful. That dress was gorgeous. And the choker and you know what, no offense, as far as like when you think of like, oh, the red carpet and things like that, um, Broadway and the Tonys, people like they dress up, but they don't necessarily have like that fashion, at least to me. But then seeing Cole, I was like, I love this. This is beautiful, stunning. But yeah, so guess what, darlings? That's all of my notes. I hope that I was able to like hit everything as far as the different performances, or if you had a question, I was able to answer it. And yeah, so I'm trying to think like, was there anything else within the performance to share? Oh, by the way, I think MJC, I think it was you that said that the show like had, oh my gosh, no problem. Oh my gosh, stop it with Katie Holmes. Probably also, by the way, recommendation Poker Face. I love that show. If you're a fan of Columbo, you'll love the show Poker Face. It's on Peacock. Cynthia Erivo is in the second season, and there's a lot of like musical nods that had me like giggly. Okay, listen, there was a little snippet of one of the characters just out of nowhere sings, "Hello, little girl, what's your rush?" And I was like, what is going on with all of these musical references in each episode? Columbo, I thought I was old. Listen, Marcus, you don't understand. You don't understand. Marcus, listen. Not only do I love musicals and like old Hollywood movies and stuff, let me tell you, one of the movies, Marcus, you will have my heart if you know what I'm talking about. One of the movies I absolutely love is The Great Race. For those who don't know, let me tell you who's in The Great Race. Natalie Wood, who was in West Side Story as Maria. Tony Lee Curtis. Yes, Jamie Lee Curtis's fault. Is it Tony Lee Curtis or just Tony Curtis? Whatever. Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, who were in Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe. And let me tell you, oh, Vivian Vance. And thank you, Marcus. Just Tony Curtis. Vivian Vance is in this movie, who plays Ethel in I Love Lucy. And it's just like, this movie is wild. And I enjoy it. Marcus, do you know what movie I'm talking about? Just wondering. Married him, and they had Jamie. You're correct. Janet Leigh, who was in Psycho, correct? And yes. And that's why there was a lot of things as far as like Jamie Lee Curtis being in horror films, because it's like, wow, just like her mother in Psycho. And it was such a big deal when Jamie Lee Curtis won an Oscar, because even her parents didn't win an Oscar. And it was like a beautiful moment. So, yes. Episode 3, Whack-A-Mole is a must for. Okay, wait, that was the one that was making me crack up the most. Because that was Mad, 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 Mad World. That one is a good one. Yeah, so many comedians in Mad, Mad World. Like, the thing that throws me off is when you see the Three Stooges there, and they're like firefighters, and that's it. That's their shot. And so it's like, it really is the who's who of like comedians in that movie. Oh my gosh, Marcus, you have my heart. You have my heart as far as these films. And yeah, it's always nice to like know people who know these movies, and then I could just like randomly talk about it. And the fact that you know what I'm talking about as far as Columbo, by the way, Peter Falk, he's in The Great Race as Max, you know, Professor. Oh my gosh, such a good time. Anyways, darlings, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there as far as the episode. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for like pretty much, thank you for hanging out with me and talking about musicals and other things like that. And if that's something that interests you, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm enjoying the content I'm making, because I really do feel like we're in a musical renaissance, and I really want to enjoy this time together. Murder by Death. I have not seen that. Marcus, you're not giving me an assignment. Oh my gosh. No, thank you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. And then, okay, I'm going to actually write that down. Murder by Death. Murder by Death. What a very confusing title. Like, I guess it's like cause of death, murder. Okay. Oh, no, thank you all for hanging out with me. It's been such a joy and a pleasure. And the Tony Awards was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm excited about this time. It is a musical renaissance. And Maggie Smith, Peter Falk, and Truman. I'm in. Okay. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave it there. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, darlings. It didn't work, did it?